Hey everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with Spellbinders and another new collection that has been released, and this one is called Fall Traditions. So I have a couple items here that we're going to use, and we're going to do something just a little different here, and we're going to see if it works. I'm trying it right here. Yeah, okay, we sometimes know how that goes. But I have I think an interesting idea. All right, so the first item we're going to use is an embossing folder. I am really getting addicted to embossing folders, whether it's the 3Ds or just a regular one. I think they add great texture, and I think we can really do a lot with them. We just need to, like I always say, is push that bar. Push it across, and I am so sorry that you heard that noise. And we're going to hear it again. So I'll apologize now. We can do a lot with these. We can color on them. We can just use them plain for the backgrounds. Whether we use white cardstock or if we use a colored cardstock, we create those dimensions and those textures. So we're going to be focusing in on that. And this is called the Falling Leaves, and it has a beautiful leaf background. I don't know if you can see that, if I'm able to capture that on the video, but I'll definitely be able to capture that in the cardstock that we'll be using. Then I'm going to be using a die set, and that is called Autumn Leaves. When it comes to fall, I lean towards leaves. I think there's just so much we can do. We are going to have fun with some liquid watercolors, just slapping some colors down, because let's have fun with it. Let's not be precise. Let's just slap those colors down and see what we come up with. So let's get started, and I'll see you on the other side as always. Okay, so let's get started. Now I have pulled out my Hero Arts watercolors. I haven't touched these in a while, so wanted to dig those out. I love these watercolors. They are very vibrant, very pigmented, and a little goes a long way. So I'm putting just a little bit down onto my glass mat. And again, there's a video link down below if you're curious about this glass mat or anything else, plus a discount code. So all I'm doing is, that's a little tiny watercolor block that I had made. So that's actually the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. With the watercolor that I had, I grouped it up and I created a block out of it, and I just absolutely love it now. I do enjoy working on blocks. One of the things that I just love when we create our backgrounds is just watching the watercolor move. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking the block, I took a spray bottle, sprayed some water down, and I am just dropping these colors down. The colors that I am using from Hero Arts are strawberry, dandelion, mulled wine, moss, orange, and purple. Once that first layer is dry, I'm now going to come in with a second layer. There is no rhyme or reason, as you can see, just dropping those colors in. If you want it brighter, add more yellow. I do like a darker, muted tone when it comes to the fall. It's probably the vintage in me, but that is what is appealing to my eye. Once this is dry, I'm using my distress bottle to get these big blobs of water out. I'm not lifting this up. What I'm doing, and what I did there, is I sopped up some of the drops. I am now pouring my Recollections Gold embossing powder on top of that. I need to take this off the block because there's going to be a lot of heat when I heat emboss this. So I'm carefully removing that. And yes, you saw it correctly. It's water. I used water. Now to do this, you want to make sure that your heat gun is hot, because here's what's happening. You've added water, and this is my assumption. You've added water. It's soaking into the paper. To get this heat, the powder to react to the heat, to melt, you have got to dry out that water. So you're doing two things at once. You don't want to dry the card out before the powder starts melting. Now, once it starts melting, you're free and clear. But it's a very easy process. But I just wanted these huge splatters. So you can use water. Just wipe a little bit away. We are making a Slimline card, a 3.5 by 8.5. I am using an embossing folder called Falling Leaves, like I showed before, from Spellbinders, but it's an A2 size. It's going to fit an A2 size. So we are going to change the size of our Slimline. Yeah, had to get that out there. And what I mean is we're going to make a different panel. Why not? Again, it's a way to stretch those items out in the different size cards that we have. So I took that strip, and what I did was I cut it down to 3¼ inches wide and 5¼ inches long. And then I just cut it on an angle. I'm now cutting a gray piece of cardstock to be 3.5 by 5.5. I'm placing this embossed panel down, and then I'm going to use my scissors to have that final edge. Okay, so again, I don't have the measurement of what that angle piece is. Again, create your own angle. I just did it kind of by eye when it comes to how I created the card. And you can see, just cutting that along. I'm using my Fun Stampers Journey Grand Pro Shears, nice solid weight scissors. And I'm going to put this on the one towards the left on my Slimline base. Now remember, I like to make Slimlines that are 3.5 by 8.5. Sometimes I'll go to 4 by 9, but that's because I need a lot of area. I need even more. So I drew a line off of that pattern section that I made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out off the front. And we're going to remove that. I'm using a craft knife for that. Used a pencil to draw the line, of course. And now I'm just using my paper creaser to flatten that fold out that I had from the top of my Slimline. I'm going to take that panel and I'm going to glue that to my card base. So you can see what we've done is we have a Slimline and we've just cut a section away. So we still have the Slimline fold, and it stands because that bottom part's not too thin. It's not too narrow. It's pretty wide. Okay, so now I'm going to open this and we're going to draw a line again, and I want to make sure that it's really faint because I need to see that area. I've taken care of die cutting all of my leaves using the Autumn Leaves die from this collection. And now, of course, the vintage photo is coming in, and I'm going to add some mulled wine splatter. And again, that's the Hero Arts watercolors. Now it's just to have fun for all of the placement. Why did I choose to do those big blobs of gold? Because again, when you're die cutting, you just get this difference. It's, some of them have more gold than others. Some of them have this. Unless you have a stamp with those splatters, that's fine. What the water also did was give a huge randomness. And that's what I enjoy as well. It's like collaging. You get this randomness when it comes to what you're creating. It's not precise. And again, don't get me wrong, I've got those splatter stamps and everything else. But to get this whole difference, I just wanted something to just literally just bleh, out onto that card base. And that panel that we watercolored for this. I'm creating an arrangement of all of these leaves coming off of that corner that we now have open. Excuse me. And I'm just continuing to tuck. Lift and tuck using my liquid adhesive. That is my go-to adhesive. I'm going to come in with my scissors and I'm just going to trim along the edge to make that even with the back panel. So again, remember that back panel is the full 3.5 by 8.5 and the front is a little bit smaller. Now you could also reverse that. You could have the longer end towards the bottom and the shorter side up on the top. That's completely up to you, whichever way you would want to. I used a white cardstock for that embossing folder, and it just looked, wow, it was just slapping me there just a little bit. So I'm coming in, it's an old makeup brush that I'm using, and it just is going to add that little bit of vintage photo just to push that white back just enough, both for the panel and for the inside. For my sentiment, I chose a sentiment set called, it's basically just clear stamps by Spellbinders. So I hope you enjoyed today's project, a little bit different. With what we can do with our slimlines. You know, have fun with that craft knife and create your different shapes. It doesn't always have to be a die, right? Right, but you do need the die to cut those awesome leaves, and there is such an assortment there. So, I do hope you enjoyed today's project. By all means, all the links will be down below in the video description to the Spellbinders blog, their gallery for more inspiration when it comes to their new collections and their club kits, and by all means to their shop if you wanted to check anything out. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't yet, I'd love for you to subscribe, be part of my group, make sure you ring the bell because hopefully YouTube will let you know. You never know. It's a shoot, never know, but that's okay. Continue to smile. Continue to laugh. Continue to enjoy your day. But most of all, always be creative each and every day, everyone. Till the next video, take care.